Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Morbid Storytime. Tonight's story is about Miss Mary's skeleton. In 1905, in Des Moines, Iowa, Miss Mary Frances was being disturbed nightly by these voices and moans that were coming from her basement. Each time she would go down to look, she could hear a man moan, but she couldn't see anything. So one morning she says, I'm going to go down and I'm going to clean up. Maybe there's an animal or something like that down there. And if I clean up, it'll run out. Well, she takes her garden hoe. She goes down there and she's hoeing around with it. And she hits something hard in the dirt. And she pulls with all her might and something pops out. It was terrible. I'm telling you, it was a human skull. She was horrified. So she starts digging around a little bit more and she pulls out a whole skeleton. Well, she knows before she moved in, there was a man that lived there. It was a medical student, and she thought it could possibly belong to him or could be a murder victim. You know, she doesn't know. But what does she do? Does she call the police? No. Miss Mary takes the skeleton, goes outside and throws it in her backyard. You know, just throws it up against the hedge bushes, just like it's nothing. It could have been somebody that's missing for 20 years. She doesn't care. She just throws it aside. Okay, well, she goes out there a couple of days later and she's doing a little gardening and walking around, and she walks by and she sees that skull looking at her with its hollow eyes. And all of a sudden, to her surprise, she hears this voice. Miss Mary, Miss Mary. That's how the skeleton sounded. And anyways, Miss Mary, please bury me back in the cellar. Quickly, please. So Miss Mary thinks, okay, my mind is playing tricks on me at this point. But as she walks around again, she hears the voice once more. Miss Mary, bury me in the cellar. So she just goes back inside. She tries to ignore this. She thinks she might be losing her mind a little bit. But that night, as she tries to sleep, she can hear the voice coming from outside her window, asking her to please bury it back in the cellar again. So she does. She takes it down, she buries it in the cellar, and from that day forward, she doesn't hear the voice anymore. And people will ask her when she told them about the story, were you afraid or are you afraid to have a skeleton? And she says, no, I'm not afraid at all. I feel like I have a protector in my home. So the skeleton actually made her feel pretty safe. But, you know, if you live in Des Moines, Iowa, there is a good chance you might have a skeleton. One of you might have a skeleton buried in your cellar. So be careful. Anyway, that's the end of the story, and I hope you like it. And please leave your comments. And if you like it, maybe there'll be some more. The end.